Godfist. 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 Now eat the Godfist. 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 Godfist.
All right, and we are live. We are live. Yo, Rod, I gotta send you that Godfest video, man, so you can check it out, man.
You know, I was going to tell you before we get started to get a people's update on the happening from the Godfest.
Oh man, it was amazing, family. It's on Patreon now for the family who are interested. Let me show y'all a clip real quick behind the scenes before me and Rod get this thing started. Hold up. So this is Myra. Myra was doing that thing.
You guys remember the movie Black Panther? I had a problem with Black Panther.
Check this out.
Because they took Wakanda and they took it to Africa. Not about Africa.
Woo!
Wakanda Springs sits on the border of Kansas. It was the fountain of youth that Ponce de Leon was looking for.
That's Myra. Yeah, we was getting busy. But y'all gotta go to Patreon.
We open in contribution. We have
the ultimate plan is
the whole.
them of the land is sovereign to them.
It went off
When the
with
Saints come marching in. New Orleans is technically below sea level, so it's no surprise if you see devils on a ride during Mardi Gras or late night on a party bus. He can hardly rush, he takes his time. He waiting on you tardy fucks to play catch up. You can catch him in green rooms, blowing smoke like steam rooms, patiently waiting like he next up, snorting Molly up. When the Saints come marching.
Rod, you hear that shit, Rod?
Yeah, boy, the word play. Feel they playing.
Yo.
Is that blue?
Yeah, that's blue. Yo, it was so
for
good.
whatever reason,
Boy, Billy up
with
there.
his intuition, and I've been rocking with the brother for years, and we've done a lot of great things together. So shout out to Richard Merritt, aka Black Magic 363.
Yeah, Billy.
Is your personal
Erin, the sister Erin Lyons up there, one of the illest channelers.
Now your inner
out there.
child.
She was doing
Yeah, she the truth. She the truth. She's the definite truth. I didn't watch her.
For
And
I said, come on, what do you get? Socks, you know, people that make gloves.
yeah, but make sure y'all head over to Patreon. I pinned the link.
Dr. Be serious about that love divine, don't he?
Oh yeah. But man, Rod, welcome back to the platform, Rod. Welcome back, my brother.
Good to be here, Rich. Good to be here. Today we talk about paper genocide, right?
Yeah. So what? All right. So I wasn't even gonna have this show tonight, family. Originally, my intentions was to have another show, but I ended up calling Rod Hayes earlier about something personal. I wanted to ask Rod a question. I was doing ancestry. I was digging up my ancestry, looking up some. I think my sister had looked something up on ancestry.com, one of them sites, and I was looking at the birth certificate of my great grandmother. And my folks is from South Carolina.
Land of the Gullah Geechee.
Branchville, South Carolina. And I noticed on the certificate, her husband said colored when it said race, and her race said Negro. So I was talking to my sister. I was like, well, why is it colored and Negro? Why isn't both of them colored or both of them Negro? Why is one? What the hell is the difference in 18 something about colored and Negro? So I called Rod Hayes, and he started chopping it up with me about paper genocide and all of that. And we got into a real good conversation. I was like, Rod, man, we might as well have a show tonight. So that's how we got here. And it's a deep conversation. It's a conversation that is becoming gaining more and more popularity as we remember who we are as it pertains to this land. And Rod Hayes, man, let's have this conversation in front of the people. In terms of, like, I was telling you about the birth certificate, and I was telling you about the Negro and the color, and you was telling me about the paper genocide. What exactly do you mean out there for those who may not be aware?
Well, the paper genocide was it's been going on since they've been here, but the reclassification of us on paper to not be native, to not be natural to the land is the goal of the paper genocide. So they did things that changed who we were on paper so that in the future they can say we somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to disassociate us from the land. We got to keep that at the forefront of our minds when we study in the African slave narrative, the invasion of Europe into the Americas. We got to always keep in front of the forefront of our mind that everything they finna do after 1492 was to make the people from the land mentally, psychologically disassociate from the land. And the side effect of that is you denying your spirituality, your natural spirituality, because your natural spirituality springs from the things that you do on your land. We don't claim the land. We say we belong to this land. The land don't belong to us. That's why we can't sell it. In the paper genocide, they was, using war machine to push us back further and further west until they got Spanish pushing back to the east. We got the French stuck in the middle in what we call the Louisiana Territory. That was all of Canada and everything west of Appalachia, east of the Rockies, down into the New Orleans capital of the empire at the time. We didn't do intake on the coast board, the eastern coast board, until after we were fighting what we called a two-tier war, collateral attack of French and Spanish forces. The French was called Huguenots. The Spanish were called conquistadors, but the English was called the gentry. So they went to King George because we was fighting French in the Louisiana Territory, Spanish in the Florida Territory. So what ended up happening was they put Georgia as a military buffer zone of gentry. So they put the English between the Spanish and the French while we were fighting. In order to, but when the French lost, they had to leave. But they sent us back a gift called the Statue of Liberty, a drag queen. Right. So now that they got this military buffer zone, they have to bulldoze the people out of that area to set up their military barricades, which became later cities. Atlanta is ancient. Savannah is ancient. But a lot of the lesser cities throughout Georgia were military outposts before they was incorporated as cities. And that was to put there to stop the assistance in the Gullah Wars of the rest of the tribes that was marching in coming from the West. That's how come they knew how the French lost. So now the English and the Spanish is the only ones left. The Spanish decided to take Mexico, which then consisted of Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Arizona, and I think Nevada and parts of, I think, Utah. It was one of them, either Utah or Colorado. But they won it in the Mesoamerican War agreement between, now remember, these treaties has nothing to do with us. We didn't sign no treaties with these people. They signing the treaties with each other, the French, the Spanish, and the English. But they telling us that these treaties is the governing instruments of law to our land. These treaties don't have nothing to do with us. There's no little river running because we use names that are related to nature. right? There is no sunset over the mountain. There ain't none of them names in none of the treaties. They got Chief John Smith. Who the hell made him the chief? Because it wasn't no John Smith chiefs over here yet. Because we wasn't using European names yet. So when they doing all of these treaties, so they Mexico ceded the states that we have in the Southwest as part of the treaty to end the Mesoamerican War. France did not cede the Louisiana Territory because they had fought to a stalemate. When they was leaving, they sold it as a protectorate right. Some of the local chiefs signed protectorate agreements with the French. If they don't invade the land, they can protect us from the sea. That was what they were supposed to do. Then they fought for the Port Nola, which became the Fort New Orleans. They fought for that, and that's how they end up having what's called protectorate rights. But that's not right to settle, squat, salvage, pillage, rape, demean people, murder indiscriminately across the land. All of these things they've done since the purchase. They was never supposed to cross the Appalachian Mountains. That's in their record. They know they wasn't never supposed to cross the Appalachians. So everything west of the Appalachians is what we call hostile occupied territory of a foreign agent. America has nothing to do with us. It's all an illusion. It's a grand design to erase us on paper first, but once we believe they hype, we disassociate from the land. That's why they keep pointing us to Africa. See, we took the immigrants in Port Nola. They weren't allowed to come in nowhere. The Big Easy was the sorting ground. This is where your temperament tested. You get sent to a parish. If you function in that parish and this is your temperament, then they tell you where across the land you can settle, because now they know you ain't got to get your head split by them Bloods and Crips out west, because they going to send you to the Midwest because your character type, personality, and disposition fit in with Vice Lords and GDs way better than Bloods and Crips, because they going to get you. Right? So a lot of people was directed to what we called in that day Shinnecock territory. Today, you know it as New York. That's Shinnecock territory. And they had the Shinnecock Nation consists of varying other tribes that was tied to their leadership in an affiliation of tribes that stretched from Maine all the way to what you call the Great Lakes State, Michigan, where Pennsylvania butts up against, what's that, Lake Huron, I think, or Erie. I keep forgetting. But anyway, the lakes, the all of that territory coming from the Lake Superior in the north, coming down into Lake Huron, all that was Shinnecock territory, but they had tribes. They had Mohawk, Tomahawk. They had all of the names are exonyms. The Mohawk didn't call themselves Mohawk. The people called them Mohawk, and the name began to be written in literature. That's how you know who they are. The Apache didn't call themselves the Apache, but that's what the settlers called them, right? And in those names being who they was recognized at in the reading material that was being disseminated, they have to go by the name that's written on the paper in order for the people that's doing the reading to know who they are. It's just like Cherokee. Cherokee is not a tribal name. It's an exonym, and it was used when we was using English language and dealing with English colonizers, which looked like me. They look more like me than any pale face from Europe. The first settlers that came from Columbus expedition to the Mayflower, to all of those were were melanated people. We didn't start getting other people until they started advancing and getting land from us through the sweetheart swindle and murdering big mamas in order to turn family plots into plantations. It's all part of the paper genocide. So that's what the purpose of it is. The purpose of it is to make the people think they from another part of the earth and they have no claim to this part of the earth.
Mm-hmm. You know, I heard years ago, I remember I think Sonetta was filming at this time, and he did a video. It might have been with Dr. Eileen Bay. It was somebody, and the Morris brother was saying that they had to do Hurricane Katrina because they had to give up that land back to I guess the Washita. That they had to get the land back to the Washita or something like that.
They still ain't got it back, so that can't be accurate. But they was trying to build a casino complex in the Ninth Ward, where all the most amount of people left.
Mm-hmm.
They was mad at them people. It was vengeance. Nobody wanted to give up their little quarter-acre plot with their house on it that their grandmama was living in, and her mama lived in. They didn't want to give it up because that's our culture. That's part of who we is. Once we get a plot of land, you almost got to use a welder to separate us from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when they was trying to get the Ninth Ward, they wanted to build a casino complex. That's what that was about. Katrina was about casino money and getting people off the land and they end up not using it. There's still a whole lot of vacant territory over there. I think it's called the Ninth Ward, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
But they was planning on building a whole bunch of casinos, like 5 major casinos and then some hotels and restaurants and stuff, and the people didn't want to sell.
So Rod, around what year was they reclassifying people as? Did they start reclassifying people as Negro and colored?
As soon as they start, well, the year wise is subjective because none of those terms, we didn't describe people by skin color. We described them by character, right? We tie them to a totem and ascribe them to a character. Like, for instance, let's say Chief Standing Elk. That means he a stand-up dude and his totem is the elk, right? Chief Little River, right? He's a short dude, but his character flows like the river. This is how we name people. We didn't name people group names or classifications. Professions was named after the people that did the work. All of the Smiths were metal workers. All Smiths on this land they were metal workers, but we didn't call them Smiths. Smiths is a European term for people over there that did the same thing, metal workers. So they came over here, they named this whole family the Smiths. Right. So now all these people were Smiths. But then you had subgroups. You got the goldsmith, you got the blacksmith, right? And that means that the goldsmiths was the ones that was melting down the gold, making the bars. The blacksmiths was the ones who wrought the iron and made the fences and the gates that went around the family cemetery plot to keep the kids from playing on the ancestors. Mm-hmm. Right? So stuff like that we did naturally. This is already who we are. The family that was building the bridges, the European come over here and call their tribe the Bridges. Now you got all these people running around like Ty Bridges thinking he from Africa, and then he got some European name, last name Bridges.
Wow, damn. Hey, Ross,
all the time you organic to the land.
What percentage of Africans came to the U.S. versus, let's say, the Caribbean and South America?
That's less than 5%.
That's a small number, right? You
got to remember.
You confident in that number? That's damn 5.
They told us that they brought 30 million niggas from Africa over here to North America in the South. And we was all on the plantations in the South. 30 million niggas from Africa. The Africans' temperament ain't like that. You not finna put no 30 million Zulu, Dinka, Mandinka. You're not finna put no 30 million of them nowhere and have peace. You gonna lose. We was already here and they was makeshifting family farms into plantations. And they was telling the family that worked the yard, worked the farms, they wasn't allowed to leave because there was a war going on.
Right.
That was the great deception. And the Masons got a record of it all. So I want they bring their ass out and start talking. Old raised and past ass niggas. Hiram told you motherfuckers to get to moving and y'all sitting there acting like that shit ain't true. So you don't even believe the shit you teach. Jabbaline, Jubaline, and Job. Man, all of them. They know what's going on. The Mason seal is on the chief's shackles that was ransomed back to the tribe. The Masonic symbol is on that. Them wasn't no slaves. They was ransoms. It's a book called Moors and Masonry that talk about how they was ransoming them back to the tribe. Mm-hmm. The leader. If they capture your leader, and then they realize the dumbest shit in the world is to let them have their leader back. Scatter the shepherd and strike the shepherd and scatter the flock. And then,
so, man, when we talk about Caucasian people, at this point with the mixing that went on, you was talking to me earlier. You're saying that
with all of them people, that was the offspring of Mr. Charlie and them up in the big house. They didn't kick Big Mama out the big house. They didn't murder her. Now they got Uncle Charlie running the big house, this house nigga. And now he done hired these hands and he told them they could do whatever they want to them women out there. They ain't no kin to me. They'll sell their own mama. So what you think they're going to do to our children? They'll sell their own children. So what you think they'll do to our mama? The only thing that got value to them is their brother. Oh, homosexual, pedophile, priest, cut ass niggas.
And who's they? Who's this they you talking about?
The
I don't want them to snatch this video, so don't curse too much.
I got you. I can call myself. I get a little hyped up talking about them niggas because
I see.
They wrong, man. They so wrong on so many levels. But the problem is they got us fighting now about our status on the land after they done burnt down all of the records in Mississippi and Louisiana and Alabama and Arkansas and Florida and South Carolina. And we have the record of them burning down the records building, and then they tell us you can't trace your ancestry. Because every time I get to this point, it's a burnt down records building. You can't get past that. They done destroyed the records. Damn. Paper genocide. Genocide.
Right, who's they? Let's be more specific.
Them niggas whose Fez's is in George Washington Masonic Memorial, them the ones we was fighting. That's the leadership of the contingent of dirty Moors that came over here. All of they Fez's, with their names on it or they shrine on it, they had to be identified. We know who they is. And the ones that sided with us is all on the painting of the last Mayan chief. All with all of them, and he got like Carlos V. That's King Charles V.
Okay.
But he took sides with us because he was part of kicking them out of Europe.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, Rod. Coming up in consciousness, the Moors always talked about John Hanson on the back of the $2 bill. Who's John Hanson, Rod? Whose team he was on? Whose side?
He was the first president of the Continental Congress. The Continental Congress was morphed from tribal leadership into leadership by these blood families that keep being elected president. They all related. They all related. So they was to be the ones to continue what they call the New World. Remember, Everybody keep talking about the New World Order. The New World Order started in 1492 when they founded the New World. The order for the New World is to fight for who it belongs to. Do the world belong to the people of the world, or do the world belong to the invaders? That's what this whole thing is, the New World Order. The whole U.S. military paradigm is the New World Order. How else you gonna get your conquered enemies' children to fight your wars with the coldest warfare minds on the planet if they don't believe that you them?
Yeah.
They were never supposed to let us in their military. We fought for that stuff. Why would we fight to be in their military? We needed somebody on the inside, baby. We gotta have a dog in every fight. You gotta expect to win, but you gotta have a dog handler that know his dog well enough to know which one of the dogs was his in the fight. Then he can go back and collect all his money.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And the German Shepherd Club, that was my dog over there. Yeah. Yeah. His name Redbone Ridge. You see that one over there, the pit bull, that blue pit right there? Yeah, that's mine. Yeah. His name was Blue Head Buster. Right. I know my dogs. Wherever the Chiefs make a move, a chief gonna be born that know his dog in the fight. Chief Zolo, DMX. Tupac Amaru, the same pair as Crooks. Chief Sitting Bull, Notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace. Chief Crazy Horse, right? ODB, Wu-Tang Clan. Right? I can do this all the way until tomorrow. Telling you where I seen all of the chiefs at and what they was telling me in their art. What they was telling me in their lectures. Elijah Muhammad, Clans 13X, Yahweh being Yahweh. They all saying something, just telling the chief what to look for to find the imposters on the land. And when Angel Bay was locked up, I knew who it was. When they had to lock Angel Bay up, Jeff Fort, now I know who the enemy is. It ain't no secret no more. Larry Hoover was never Jeff Fort enemy to begin with. Why would they tell the kids on the street that they enemies so that they can make them fight each other? Where your dog at in the fight? They telling us the tribes is gangs, but we don't know gang is just a villainized word for tribe. Because we don't never look words up to find the backstory to the word. They call it etymology.
Rob, what can you tell me about Pascal Beverly Randolph?
They
say you used to go with Lincoln.
I can't tell you a lot about him right now because he's not fresh on my mind. But during that era, a lot of those guys, they wrote about their position in the colonization of this land. You have, like for instance, you won't see a lot of the writings of the Iroquois Confederacy or the Cherokee Confederacy became your Continental Congress when they made an agreement on land distribution with the Iroquois Confederacy, which triggered the financial backlash that caused the Civil War. Was never fought about slavery. Slavery is an after the fact, let's try to tell a story to them this way so that they will believe the narrative that they came from Africa. But now the babies got it. They proving it better than me. I can get out the way and let the babies go now, and they done. Because once the Braves get it, the Chiefs can sit down now and watch this mental fire burn the land, scorch the earth with awakening. Because the babies got it now. I told them when the babies get it, right, the old regime is screwed. The babies got it now. Y'all stuck. Yeah. The babies got it now. They can't undo it now. Because the thing that they didn't have in consideration was that we was gonna have a record of the history from the time they start telling the lie to down, but we gonna go to the history before they start telling the lie and see how they describe us in a 1700 and 1800 writings versus they 1900 writings. The physical description is us all day long. It only the ones they call the Mongolians when they say that the Seminoles was taking runaway slaves. The Mongolians was the runaway slaves. This what nobody not getting. They thinking that when you're looking at this nappy haired dude on the cover of the book that he the runaway slave. He not the runaway slave. They brought Mongolian, Hun, Vedic slaves with them when they came. They wasn't no pale faces over here yet. When the Seminole Wars struck up, there was no pale. There was only a handful in the Appalachians, and they all had red hair and freckles. We would spot them a mile away, and it came from Ireland. And they wasn't finna help them. They wasn't finna help them do nothing without Big Mama permission. Now we call them hillbillies and poor white trash, but they the ones gave us snipers in the armed forces. Right? Because they took what they learned from the tribes on how to hunt when the firearm came and began to use it the same way, but with a further reach. And all of this is warfare. White supremacy is a war strategy. It's a war call and a war strategy. White has nothing to do with skin color. That's the description of the families of the royal houses. They used to wear only white. Mm-hmm. But when they got infiltrated, the Phoenicians began to convince them of the purple and the red garments. And then they settled into Europe. And then they came in as Ottomans, and they came in as the Etruscans and settled Italy. And now we thinking that the pale face, it wasn't them. The white man ain't white. He just used to wear white clothes, Jefe Blanco. Mm-hmm. They still do it in Mexico. You go around there, you want to know who the big dude is? KS Jefe Blanco. Where he at? They know Jefe Blanco mean the boss because he wear the white suit. They did it in Dukes of Hazzard with Boss Hogg. And they keep making mockery of our ignorance by putting it in movies like the Dukes of Hazzard, putting Boss Hogg in the white suit as the mayor. We know that the mayor is the town mother. So when they put Jefe Blanco there, we know what they're saying. We said we knocked your queen. But she ain't the queen. She's just the mayor of her flock. But we got a big queen, right? They call her the Queen Bee. Her color's black and gold. She run the money. We don't know this though, because we forget our culture. And then when we start explaining the culture back to those that's been socially indoctrinated and institutionalized with this police state, they believe the narrative that was given in order to separate us from the land and rewrote the history. And this is also part of the paper genocide. When you take the history that was there and then you bend it and you put your name where our name go, and you put somebody else's name where the other person's name go, but you still telling the same story, somebody gonna figure out your lie. You know, and that's paper genocide.
You know, you mentioned you mentioned the Seminoles several times. What can you tell us about John Horse? That's a name that we hear a lot. What can you tell us about that brother right there?
He was probably one of the other chiefs down there. But when I study the Seminole Wars, I don't remember all of the names of the most important people because I'm trying to see the event. And the names, a lot of times, I can't go in detail on some of them, especially the ones that was helped. The ones that was hurting us, I could probably run their whole history down. But some of the ones that I already know, well, he harmless, he one of us, he ain't doing, I won't remember his whole backstory. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? But when the time come, I could tell you when you search the Gullah Wars, and the Seminole Wars is how the Spanish saw the war. They called it the War of the Seminoles, right? Some people say Cimarron, but that's not, it was Seminoles, the half-breeds. And the people from the land call it the Gullah Wars because we was called to fight the wars, the Gullah Wars, by Gullah Geechee Big Mama. And I read that by reading the migration patterns of the people across the land. And then I know when I see a certain amount of tribes deliberately displace themselves from their homeland, we don't leave our home territories unless we fight in a war. So when I'm looking back at all of these people was conversion between Louisiana and South Carolina, they all coming south and then they all moving east. Then I'm seeing Hawaiians coming across, they not going where they normally go. Hawaiians used to travel between the Maori Islands, where Tonga, Samoa, all into New Zealand. That was their travel route of normal practice of trade, because they big mamas used to interact. Our big mamas, we dealt with the Central American islands, Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, St. Croix, all of those islands. Our big mamas was do the caretaking, the trade with them. So when I see Hawaiians floating into Mexico and Southern California and Arizona, and then I'm seeing Samoans and Tongans, and they all coming in, and Big Mama called us to war. I know we don't move like that. We out of character. Because I know my people, I can watch the flow and I know where we going. And then I look at ground zero, Orlando. And then I go study the area and find out about the Gullah Wars. Only way we come into war from that far away, it's only one person that can call them. And at the time, the big mama that held that rank was Gullah Geechee. And she lived on an island off the coast, I think, of North Carolina. What they call the Gullah Islands. She lived on the island, and she seen them SOBs coming and called us to war, and they didn't have no telephones. Remember that. Ain't no telephone. It ain't none of this dash. It ain't no Morse code. It's spirit. It's spiritual mastery of the self and the understanding of the self. All of the big mamas is hive connected. They connected. They know. They all making their individual moves, but they checking in with each other while they doing it. And when the chiefs of the land, especially a war chief, sit back and look at history, he can say and tell you exactly what happened without knowing damn person name. I'm looking at the migration pattern. And they dumb enough to reprint it because they think we not gonna know how to read ourselves. That means you don't have no knowledge of self. And that's why people like Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Du Bois, they was all fighting to give you self-knowledge and self-esteem enough to seek further self-knowledge that'll break you out of the trap of inferiority complexes manufactured by your enemy. And we didn't swear to be their enemy. They swore to be ours. We welcomed them in peace, but they came with war. We had open hands and theirs was full of dirt. And they wanted to land. How do we know they wanted to land, Brother Rich? What happened? How did they get Manhattan? What they say happened to give them Manhattan? You remember?
Well, no. What happened?
They said it was a string of beads, right? Mm-hmm. And some other shells. Less than $1.25 worth of actual material, they sold Manhattan. That's BS because we don't sell land. That's how we know that they came for the land, because they was negotiating, trying to get the land. And Chief Pontiac told them, we don't believe in selling land. It's almost every big chief that you look up tell them we don't believe in selling land. They even tell you about it in their parody movies of us. When they got the Mongolian or the Italian dude acting like he a Native American, asking the colonel, how did you get the land? Did you barter for it? Did you trade for it? I'm already free on this land. How? Well, all of a sudden I got to start paying you. Who are you? Where you come from? What's your credentials? They not us. They came for war and we handed it back. You know, war does not stay the same. If you don't know what warfare is, then you will never know what a police state is. And when you don't know what a police state is, you don't know what an occupied territory is, then you won't know why we went from common law to admiralty law. It wouldn't make sense. It's going to keep you in a perpetual loop of confusion.
Yeah, you was talking about a little earlier. Wow, Rod been hot. He's been hot this whole for 40 minutes straight, y'all. Damn, shit. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got about 2,700 people in the chat. Oh man, what a show! What a show! We're talking about the land. We're talking about the soil. We're talking about who we are. We're talking about the lies, the deceit, the narcissism that took place. The shit. I mean, this is a lot. This is a lot that the brothers
leave the sorcery out, because that's how they find. That's how they finally got what's called a state, a ceasefire agreement. Them feds is in the George Washington Memorial challenged the chief to a conjure war. That's why they on display. But you don't see none of the feathers on display. So who's being concealed in the conflict? Those Shriners, those 32-degree Scottish Rite Freemasons. They issued a conjure war to the chiefs of the land because they thought their masonry was better than our mastery, and they just had their hands handed to them. Because they found out that in the end, in order to close it out, they had to call the same chief we had to call, because they can't close out without it. Because he gonna come and tell you it was a conjure war. It was 50 chiefs playing Fanix chief in the dark, right? And it was however many fezes it is, that's how many of them it was. It's more of them than us, according to Noble Drew Ali. We the many, they the few. But they got great impact on dogma, and we are masters of the morals. We'll be morally correct as we need to be in order to outclass them MFs. It's up for them. They dismantling the corporation in real time as we speak. I done sick my watch doge on them. Everybody think they know what's happening. They don't know what's going on, Rich. They just think they know what's going on. It's over with. The game is over. We won. They lost. Pack your and go. It's over. So Andrew Jackson come in with this Trail of Tears family swap, where they kicked all of our family out in the South. So we had to be adopted in. The old Mississippians adopted in under the Chata, the Chickasaw, Cherokee, and all these other tribal names that they imposed upon us, right? But we still know who we is because the message is in the music for 100 years telling the same story. Strange fruit. Black hand. They don't give a about us.
Hey Rod, I ain't gonna lie, man. Me and you, man, we've been going at it with these videos since about 2021 or 2022. I ain't never see you this emotional in a video, brother. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't never see this emotional.
Because it's to the point now, it's done. They lost. What is they still bitching about? Go and take your ass to Gitmo, jump on the boat, then stop bitching. Stop crying. Stop trying to stop the process that you can't stop. You ain't Superman. You can't stop this speeding train. It's just not going to happen. The games is up. It's over.
Yeah.
They should have never involved me if they wanted this to continue on, because I'm going to tell it like it is and they ain't going to like it. And people feelings going to get hurt because they thought we was Africans and they African pride going to be busting their native head. I'm not trying to agitate my people. I'm trying to get them posters off the land. The same thing Tupac was doing, the same thing Eazy-E was doing, the same thing George Clinton was doing, the same thing that Smokey Robinson was doing, right? But we don't pay the artists no attention. That's why you can get more information through art than you can from history, from school. School is designed to mislead you. The artist is designed to tell you the raw and uncut truth, no matter how much you may not like it.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be good to dance to.
Mm-hmm.
The rapper's been telling us what's going on in the community the whole time. If you can look at it, we got rap broke up into sections, Rich, don't we?
Yeah.
We got old school rap. What did they talk about in old school rap, Rick?
We
Do you
talking
remember?
the Public Enemy era? You talking about that era?
No, that's not old school rap. That's new school rap.
What would you call old school rap? What would you
Anything before 89?
so like
Run DMC, LL Cool J, Houdini,
right.
Smith and Wesson, Cool G. That era of rap, it was primarily about two things: dancing and getting your knowledge game up.
Right. Right.
It was about social awareness to your surroundings as part of your studies, and they was telling you what to study. Run DMC came out as the kings of rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they first came out on Hard Times. That's when they got national. How do Hard Times start? Hard Times spread just like the flu. Watch out, homeboy, don't let it get you. Prices go up, don't let your pockets go down. He's talking about inflation in the government. He's talking about the hard times Reaganomics is currently creating. He's talking about it in ghetto code. So when the prices go up, don't let your pockets go down. I mean, don't participate in all of the hype that they're telling you. Keep getting your money, because the inflation is the money going to lose value and you're going to need more of it, right? And then you had the dance community. Why did we tell them to dance? Because you can't be miserable and dance and stay miserable. You have to have an outlet for the misery, right? The aggressiveness, what we call breakdancing, dance offs, to burn that off so you can see clearly, because you got to get past the anger in order to be able to strategize. Most of the average brother gets stuck at the anger and he don't know what to do with the anger, and he end up doing some dumb shit. But they had breakdancers come out, and not only is breakdancing battle dancing, but it's also gymnastics. It's teaching you how to flip, right? So then when you learn how to flip, you could flip it off any one of them. It's called passing the baton, right? So then you can look back on history and say, who passed the baton and where did they pass it to? It's the culture been telling me the whole story from day one. From day one. Then LL Cool J came out with his radio. What'd he say? My radio, believe me, I like it loud. I'm the man with the box that can rock the crowd. Walking down the street to the hardcore beat while my JVC vibrates the concrete. Why would what is he talking about? We naturally have an attraction like moths to the flame to loud music. because we know where the party at. LL is telling us, if you follow me through this party game, I'm going to get you where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's just trying to get you to the breakdancers at this time. But no matter what genre of music it is, they got to always go back to the blues, the old Mississippi Delta blues. So he go back to the blues with, when I'm alone in my room, sometimes my conscience call, right? I need love. That's blues in rap form.
Mm-hmm.
Because he got to go back down to Mississippi to get the code to know what to talk about next in order for us to put the puzzle together through the arts and entertainment, no matter what it is. They can't hide it. It's in the history, but it's in the history before the Rockefeller controlled education system. And you got to read books that's not recommended, preferably books that's banned. Because the banned books got more truth in it than the books that's approved.
Okay, Rod, since you brought up dancing, when you came on the scene, you kept talking about crip walking. And in my mind, just me and you at the time, and I'm like, damn, this brother's serious about the spirituality behind crip walking. You kept talking about it. When the Crips started walking, whatever, you kept talking about it. Fast forward 2025, Rod, the most watched Super Bowl of all time, the halftime show of all time. I think the Kendrick Lamar's video, his performance is at over 70 million now. Crip walking all on the stage. Serena Williams up there crip walking. Because we are who we are, we're walking miniature universes. We have this power within us, and we dancing. What effect did that have on the planet? Us crip walking, the planet seeing crip walking showcase like that. We have a inferiority complex, so a lot of us don't see how powerful that is. But for those who know the spirituality of dancing, what did that do to the planet, Rod? Kendrick Lamar's performance in the crip walking.
The crip walk is walking lightning, Big Tookie. And when he have his whole army crip walking, you can look at the increase in the electromagnetic field around the earth by lightning strikes. Everywhere lightning strikes is because of crip walk, right? Remember when they told you that they had rain dancers?
Yeah.
Yeah, rain dancing is hooper stepping. That's Midwest. That got nothing to do with the West Coast. The West Coast is the fire and the lightning. The Bloods and the Crips. The Crips, the sea walking, patron saint of the handicapped Big Tookie. And those who work with the metal, the Smith clans. Right? Then the energy that's being harnessed is literal electricity in the air. And the master Crip walker will set off a lightning storm in 10 different cities while not long after he starts stepping. This is the bee walkers is going to start sparking fires, but they normally come with the thunder behind the Crips. When they step, bee walk step, they bring the thunder. The Crips bring the lightning. They two of the biggest tribes on the West Coast woke up at the same time. Right? If you look at the original OG Pyru Blood, his name was Puddin'. If you look at the original 5% Father God Allah, he was affectionately called Puddin'. Right? You got two different things going on two different coasts. They telling you where the proof at. And the proof came up in Detroit. And the proof gave us the pale-face dragon, the white dragon, the one that spit the fire, the God flow in the pink face. Because they said we couldn't do it. Right? So now when you go back to the history and you find out that Dr. Dre was actively looking for a pale-face spitter because somebody told him to look for a pale-face spitter. We need a white dragon. What we need a white dragon for? because the proof is in the pudding. That means he not really pale face. He got a drop of blood, and he gonna be able to express himself to the tribes, and he gonna be able to cross the bridge from what they call mainstream and underground rap. He come out of the battle rap scene. This ain't no accident. Ain't none. Everything is on the script. Everything is on the script. So once you get the proof out the pudding, that was the end of the era of hip hop, what we call the rebellion hip hop, second wave, new generation hip hop. Started in the 90s, like 90, 91. Right? And this is when the baton was carried by Chuck D through Public Enemy, who passed it to Ice Cube to take it back out west, because sooner or later we're going to have to nip this in the bud. So we're going to have to find this dude from Chicago coming off Kershaw, but we're going to have to mirror him with somebody out west coming off Crenshaw. Because when you write them both in cursive, they look damn near the same. Mirror flipping. This is tribal warfare. The tribes fight their war. They challenge us to a conjure war. Curtis Jackson conjure, the unstoppable conjure. The March of the Mayors. Right? They don't even know what I'm talking about. Old New Orleans conjure man, Curtis Jackson. Money getter from day one. Gorilla knocker. So he got to come out on the Gorilla Clan.
You talking about 50 Cent?
G-Unit. I told you got to have a dog in every fight, and you got to know where your dog at in order to collect your motherfucking money. Every one of the chiefs had a job they was born to do, but they don't know what it is. But if they can be true to themselves, they can be seen. Mm. And they did their job because I seen them.
They could be authentic, huh?
Yeah. Authenticity. BDL just dropped the clip. Say authenticity is the highest frequency you can vibrate on earth.
Yo, somebody do the research. I want to know how much the Schumann resonance spiked during the Super Bowl. We got to really see the signs.
You know what? That's a good idea, Rich. I didn't even check.
Yeah, we got to somebody do that research. Let me know, family. I'm gonna check.
It'll probably be within 3 days after. 3 days.
Yeah.
You will see the spike. But the Schumann for the Crip Walk, you're not looking for Schumann. You're looking for, they got a Doppler lightning strike map. That's the one you need to look at, because then you can see the activity and where the energy hit at the hardest around the world. Oh. You see, they got Koreans and Vietnamese and Japanese doing reenactments. They got Africans doing reenactments of the Super Bowl. Kendrick.
Yeah.
You got hillbillies doing it. You got bikers doing it. You got old mechanics doing it. And they all putting out their TikToks imitating. Just go on TikTok and put in Super Bowl imitation or Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl imitation. You're going to show all the people doing that. It's around the world. It's not just local. Look, they say 115 million people signed off after the performance. And they said that because of that, people hated the performance so bad that they didn't want to watch the game. That's BS. They left for 2 reasons. In the first half, at the end of the first half, Donald J left. But they stayed 115 million, or it might have been 175 million. I can't remember. But it was over 100 and something million people. Still watched us all the way through to the end of the performance. And then when Kendrick got done, they was gone. And they end up with a second half viewing of about 65 million people. The average Super Bowl attendance, but they said that Kendrick ran everybody off with his performance. I think they came to see Kendrick.
Man, yeah, this is wow. This was one of them ones, y'all.
It's a
This is one.
cultural divide. You
Mm.
can't fake influence.
He said,
We know our culture. If you from this land, you know when you see the New Orleans getting ready for Mardi Gras, you got two options. Start putting on some feathers or second line march steps, practicing. That's it. Or you got to leave. Then that's your other option. Or you got to leave. You can't be down there in their way while they trying to. They tell stories with their clothes, with their feathers. They're telling stories. They got history lessons for other tribes that come down there and just how they dressed. It's that's not no. That's not just the Mardi Gras celebration. Is not what it is to a Mardi Gras Indian. They
Mhm.
historians. They telling you what's going on the land. That's why they be trying to villainize it and call it evil all the time. Because they don't want, if there's certain ones of these sisters go down there that ain't never been down there and see that, she gonna wake straight up. They gonna tell her the whole story and it's gonna turn her mitochondria up and she gonna go back home and she gonna be like, something ain't right. I don't know what it is. But after about a couple weeks, it's gonna click to her and it's gonna be over with. That's to keep us away from it, especially the ones that they call church mothers. The ones that's the church mother, the most powerful sisters in the community. And we thinking that because they in the church, that they from the Jesus story. They ain't from the Jesus story. They from the tribes of the land. And they still carrying out the same function they did in the long house, in the big house, and in the short house. They still doing tribal mother stuff. They just doing it under the color of Christianity now. But you thinking it's Christianity because they doing it, but they ain't doing it where the church came from. The church mothers don't run nothing in Europe. They halfway don't want a woman sitting on the podium in Europe. Male chauvinistic pedophile priest cult. Did I leave out homosexual? That's what they is. They don't like women. That's why they keep marrying drag queens. Like Barbara Bush named Big Buddy, big linebacker.
Mm. Let me I'm gonna get to about two questions from the family
Mm-hmm.
before we get out of here because I can't be on here too long tonight. Um Somebody asked, well, somebody sent the super chat. They asked, oh, by the way, because yeah, I see somebody posted your cash app. Let me throw rods because I don't want y'all to follow anybody else's cash app and it be the wrong one. All right, I just put, yeah, be careful donating to other cash apps, family. You know, I don't want y'all to donate to the wrong one. But Rod Hayes cash app, we got 3,200 people in the digital building. So make sure you support this brother for the information that he gave us tonight. His cash app is $ Sick Ape. That's capital SIK, capital APE. Once again, make sure the spelling is right, family. We don't want this going to the wrong cash app. Somebody said, "What is your cash app, Rich?" I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the screen. It's the same name as the channel. $Black Magic 363. Same name as the channel. Same thing. Make sure you support Rod Hayes. Very, very important that when we have individuals like this, that we show the individuals love. And like I said, I just don't want to go into the wrong person. So yeah, we don't want that. But listen, let me get a couple of questions from the fam. Somebody with the super chat said, were Moors later called Indians?
In the war, the MUUR Moors is the tribal Moors. The MOOR are the European Moors. But the catch term MOOR included both of them when it became the Conjure War. The Conjure War was the death of Crispus Attucks in the Civil War. First blood in the war is one of the chiefs because you had to establish clear boundaries as who's the attacker and who's the defender. And Crispus Attucks' blood was used to write the corporate constitution, what we call the secondary constitution that moved the capital from Philadelphia to DC under the corporate jurisdiction in a litigation that one of them European nations said we crashed into their ship. So that kept us in litigation, but the litigation was being fought as a war because they was trying to impose they admiralty jurisdiction on the land, and eventually was successful because it wasn't enough of us that was willing to educate ourselves. We was content being befuddling idiots.
Okay. Let's get to another.
Oh, one more part to that. So if you're talking to Moors and you want them to talk about the tribes, they call the righteous Moors. The invaders is called dirty Moors.
Right.
And this is why I say when Angel Bay got locked up, I knew that the dirty Moors was behind it because he's the law and he's the main one that they want to keep in prison and under the war protocol because he can call the tribes to war with his oratory. So they want to silence him as much as possible. Right. Larry Hoover, even though he was Maine 21 ambassador to Stone, became a king with King David. And they was also discussing why he didn't want to be tied in with the P-Stones who were Moors, but they was righteous Moors because the symbols, all of their stone symbolism and they stone codes tell me they tribe. That's a tribe. That's the same red tribe out of the Midwest, old Mississippian. Then when you do the history on Jeff, you find out that he came from Mississippi, just like Larry Hoover, just like King David. And I'm a Mississippian too. My parents has come from directly from Mississippi, and my mama birthed me on the west side of Chicago. They knew I was coming, so they left me messages in hieroglyphics, what we call it graffiti today. But the graffiti, when I walk down the streets of Chicago and read the graffiti, I'm getting messages from Latin kings, Latin counts, Satin disciples, gangster disciples, black gangster disciples, black gangsters, P stones, Titanic stones, Cobra stones, vice lords, four corner hustlers, insane, unknowns, travelers. They all telling me the same story. They infiltrating us. They pretending to be us, acting like somebody else the problem, and they making us fight each other. It's in the codes, in the hieroglyphics, or in the graffiti. It's on the walls, on the garages, on the bricks in the tunnels, on the side of the trains. In New York, it's the same message. It's the same message in the hieroglyphics. They don't know they doing it because it's in the blood. It ain't in the mind. It's a natural expression of the self. All you got to do is be authentic, and it's going to come out, and you're going to tell me where to look, and I'm going to know where to look.
Shit, y'all. Wow. This dude got the Holy Ghost in him tonight, y'all. This dude got the Holy Ghost. Somebody shout out to another super chat. Somebody said, where is the missing Indian gold under the Twin Towers?
The Bushes had took that and disseminated across Europe. The gold is all being returned, but they're not taking it to Fort Knox right now. They're taking it to an underground base in Colorado.
Why there?
Because it's secure enough, and also the continuity government is in Raven Rock, Colorado, that's watching all of this play out so that they can make sure we get everything back. When you read the continuity of government FEMA document, it tell you right on the cover that its tribal government is involved. The 9 treaty tribes. We don't got treaties with these people. We not the ones signed treaties with them. The ones that signed treaty got a paper trail to get their stuff back. But we was erased in a paper genocide by burning up our birth records, by burning up our family books, because we had family books that had everybody's name in it. And our big mama used to keep them in her house, and she called it the Book of Life. So that's why they say everybody whose name is written in the Book of Life. But there's a master book written in the ethers. You can't take that book away, but you can burn the physical representation.
Right.
It's just the book. But you can't take it out the ethers. And the ethers is where you get the genetic code for the chiefs to come in and answer for their parishioners, they braves calling for them. They call for us. I need your help, brother. Come help me. They conjured my ass up, Rich. I wasn't supposed to be here. I'm the chief of last resort. They don't supposed to call me until can't nobody figure it out. I see a whole bunch of people that had it almost figured out until they got murdered.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's get to wow. Let's get to let me see. Hold up now, Rob.
While you doing that, this is for the crowd. If y'all watching, anybody know how to get in touch with legendary Top Cats, tell them to holler at the chief. I need to holler at him. We're trying to get him to do some record keeping folks.
Indeed.
Or read some records for us.
Indeed. Yeah. I'll add top cats. I'm trying to get in touch with the brother as well. Definitely I'll at the brother. Somebody says Shinnecock is mixed with Africans. What's your thoughts on that statement?
They probably is now because a lot of Africans in the last couple 100 years then moved to New York. They got to marry somebody.
But not from that time, not hundreds of years ago, you saying?
No, the Shinnecock is an ancient tribe. It's always been there. The New York area was always been their stronghold, their territory.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They wasn't always called Shinnecock, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, somebody said Top Cats mentioned you last night. Okay, yeah. Holla at the brother. And shout out to King Simon in the building as well. Shout out to King Simon. Somebody said, what is the origin of the Moore last name? Moore.
That was given to different people who were swarthy in complexion or dark complected with kinky hair. It was a generalized term like freedman. And you got people with the last name Freeman now. That means that they didn't never go into the POW camps that they call today plantations to confuse us. But the name Moore, Moor, it's also the same as the name Moore, Moore. It's also Maury, Mauri. All of those are the term that they gave to the darker people that went into the conflict. All of the black term is a chess term for the defender. And it was specifically referring to the Black Eagle clan, the Black Bear clan, the Black Wolf clan, the Black Deer clan. Those priests is governed under the onyx stone, and a physical responsibility in human form is to do whatever they can to serve as protection for the rest of the tribes. So then that put us in the position where we have to come out of being regular civilians, and now they call in the priest that has a unique set of skills. Some of them you might want, if you want a singing chief or whatever, but he's obscure. So they'll end up getting famous later in life. Like when we needed Robin Cook to come along and tell the Bebe Kids story. Mm-hmm. Because Bebe was one of the nicknames for Big Mama. So when he's saying Bebe Kids, we don't die, we multiply, we thinking he talking about one of these chicks in the hood that got 12 babies by 17 different baby daddies. Mm-hmm. That ain't what he talking about. He talking about Big Mama. Bebe is a nickname for Big Mama. And she got that from Big Papa. And he also, that term we use today when we referring to our significant other as Bae, that's old. That's old. And that's where you get L's versus Bays. Bay is a Ottoman title of rank. And under a Bay, I think it's like 10 days. Well, 10 DEYs. And today you would call them deacons. Right? But a deacon is a zodiac representation for a house in the zodiac. So you were supposed to be 10 deacons or 10 days under a bey, and the bey is a provincial leader. And over the beys, it's another group called Ali. Ali is the highest rank because when you go from Ali, you become emperor next. You become emperor over a group of Alis. But all that's Ottoman Turkish, which was also established by the same people. When they went through Africa, they got ran clean across the land. That story told by Elijah Muhammad. Everywhere they go, they cause mischief and bloodshed. They cause conflict between two peaceful people. And then they offer them a solution. And I add to that for a fee, because they always going to make sure they put a fee on everything they do. And that's why I don't charge for nothing. If I was a mechanic right now changing the motor, I'd do it for free. Give me what you think you want, what you want to pay. Because it ain't about that. Because money ain't everything. Morals and values, principles, a guy to stand on what he believes in is more valuable to me than and damn you got. I'd rather give up all my money to have one loyal person than to be rich and miserable with no loyalty around me.
That's a miserable life to be around a bunch of people with yeah.
Give me. Everybody supposed to be wealthy over here. When they came over here, there was no poverty. There was no prisons. Because we follow a certain set standard under the matriarchal order that maintained peace. Nobody didn't have to steal from nobody because everybody was willing to give you anything. All you got to do is ask. And that's where that term, a closed mouth don't get fed. Baby, I ain't know you was hungry because you ain't said you was hungry. That come from Big Mama house. And them smart ass aunties. And Big Mama house always got a bunch of aunties in there because sometimes they husband die off and they move back with Big Mama. And say, no, if I can't have the love of my life, I'd rather be here with my mama. So now you got Big Mama, she got 6, 7 daughters, and they got 6, 7 daughters apiece. And now they all got daughters living in the house with Big Mama, helping Big Mama cook. That's why they don't even have to be from the same family. But if they all in the kitchen, in Big Mama kitchen, they be moving like ballet in the kitchen. Look, Rich, my mama was in the living room laying on her deathbed. She was in a coma state in hospice. And I'm watching these sisters that just met because of my mama. They all love my mama. And they was in there and they was passing stuff where nobody wasn't asking for nothing. How do you know she need the salt? How did you know she wanted an onion out the refrigerator? And then just reach back, boom, somebody passing them something. And then nobody talking. They all talking about whatever the main events of the day was. They wasn't even talking about cooking. But when they got done cooking, everything tasted like my mama made it. My mama was one of the coldest cooks we ever seen.
I can tell you love your mama, Rod. I can tell you love
people
your
would
mama.
drive to Chicago if they heard my mama was going to cook a pot of greens.
Yeah.
They drive from Chicago.
Shit.
They drive for an hour away. Detroit, Grand Rapids, all over Michigan. People hear my mama cooking. They coming.
Yeah, man. Oh man, I love this type of talk, y'all. This that soul talk. This is no other word to describe what we had tonight, but straight soul vibrations, family. And this is what it's all about. Let me squeeze in a couple of more. Let me get King Simon. King Simon says, "Hey Rod, isn't the Caribbean a part of the Americas?"
100%. 100%. All
King
of the islands, we would look.
He's hailing from Jamaica. King Simon. He's hailing from Jamaica.
Yeah. So the Big Mama in New Orleans was, or the Big Mama in Gullah Geechee territory, because the Big Mama they was like co-Big Mamas. If one of them died, then the other one got all of the power to the next one is replaced by her blood heir. that's responsible. And when she get competent, then the power is distributed on both sides of the Mississippi equally,
Mhm.
right? And from New Orleans was our port. It's where we did all of our trade with the islands. And the Big Mama up here was sending stuff to what became known as Hispaniola, to Cuba, to Jamaica, to St. Croix, all of those islands in Central America. They call them Caribbean islands. They would send delegations with stuff that we grow up here that our Big Mama knew they needed down there,
Mhm.
right? And she would send it to her free. But the side effect is reciprocity. They Big Mama not gonna take nothing for free. So she gonna send her back bananas, or not bananas because they didn't get over here till later on, but like dates, avocados, and mangoes, and the fruit, jackfruit, and probably some jackfish. All of the stuff that they get down there, she send her back a big bundle. Come back here, right? And then when the invaders came, they interrupt first our trade with ourselves to break our unity. When we couldn't trade with each other, we can't communicate because we can't get across the water without fighting. You got Huguenots and conquistadors patrolling the water, and the Mississippi was the mainland's navy. What you call the navy today is it's the continuation of the Mississippi riverboat patrols. They used to patrol the rivers, but they only had a couple of boats that used to go to the islands. And so when they run into the Spanish Armada and the Huguenots on the ocean, right? And they got cannons. We wasn't at war. So we ain't had no cannons. So they try to sink the ship. This is where the term "sink my battleship" come from.
Mhm. Mhm. Indeed. All right, we're gonna do one last question, then we're gonna get out of here. One last question. Where's that question at? How did we build these beautiful Tartarian buildings, and why was there a mud flood reset? Was it to hide free energy?
No. The reset, anytime you have a mass reset, it was a side effect of war. The different cities that were recently flooded is not the ancient sediment of the what you call in Tartarian is actually anything west of Rome. And it comes from the name of Tartarus, which is Antarctica before the ice. So when you talking Tartarian, you really talking Atlantean, but they trying to confuse you about what you talking about. The Earth was an Atlantean civilization. The capital was the Atlant, which was the Americas, which was where the Temple of Isis and the Temple of Tahuti in the Grand Canyon, that used to be the capital. And the island, which was a landmass, it was a continent that became Antarctica after it froze, which I ain't gonna get into that right now because that's a whole nother story. But Tartarus was then covered with ice, but it was a desert, right? So when you read about Tartarus, they're talking about Tartarus is southwest extreme of Rome. So they people confusing y'all, giving it all these other names like Hyperborea, Tartaria, Lemuria. Lemuria is a region under the Atlantean civilization, which was a global civilization, a one world order before we was split up for warfare after the Anunnaki Wars or the Vominos Wars, when America was sent into a nuclear winter after a nuclear holocaust. That's why we know we don't want to do it again.
Man, y'all asked, he delivered. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all for coming out tonight. Damn, we got a packed house. We got 3,500 people. Make sure y'all support the brother Rod Hayes. I think you said you taking a break, right, Rod? Are you
Yeah, I need to take a break, man. I'm burnt out right now.
what a way to close out before you take a break, Rod. What a way to close out. With that being said, man, I want to thank you once again, brother, for coming on the show. Definitely, I'm gonna send you that non-ether joint, so you're gonna really enjoy that. I'm gonna
Oh
send you that.
yeah,
Email you. What's your email?
I don't use it, but I'll tell you, I'll send it to you in the text because I don't use it. But hey, I
Okay,
can't manage all of the stuff I manage and be as effective as I need to be. So I have to restrict what I manage. That's why I keep everything to Facebook, Instagram, and then I do guest appearances on YouTube shows.
indeed, yeah, because
Time management is critical, baby. If you don't know what you're doing, you overwork yourself, especially trying to do what I'm doing.
very important. Time management, very important. All right, family. With that being said, I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Ani Asaru will be on tomorrow, and he's doing a show on the physics of candle magic. It's gonna be an awesome show. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow night. The physics of candle magic. With that being said, Rod, I'm gonna give you a call tomorrow, my brother.
All right. Appreciate you, Brother Rich, for inviting me on. Appreciate people for watching. I hope y'all wake up because we from here. We ain't from nowhere else, or else we'd be where we was from.
Mm, mm. All right, family. See y'all tomorrow. Peace, Rod.
Peace, brother.